Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining in. This is my pleasure, great pleasure, I would say, to introduce my dear friend Romeo Marcus Jr. Let me do a quick intro to Romeo before we get started with the session. Welcome, Romeo.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here. My dear friend Ravi.
Thank you. All right, as an introduction, Romeo Marcus Jr. is a sought-after international speaker, #1 Amazon best-selling author of The Success Messages, and certified trainer of the Jack Canfield's Success Principles. Romeo has delivered more than 1,000 presentations to over 1 million audience all over the world, including United States, Canada, Asia, Australia, and Europe, helping organizations, sales professionals, entrepreneurs, and CEOs achieve extraordinary results. From the TEDx stage in India to sharing the stage with Kevin Harrington from Shark, one of the most hit shows, Shark Tank on ABC, to working with notable names such as Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, Jim Carrey, Kelly Clarkson. Romeo's mission is to help people maximize their potential so that they live a life with purpose and passion. Romeo, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Ravi. Again, I appreciate it. And I look forward to the energy we're going to bring to this conversation.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. So with that, so one thing I just, the reason I wanted to get you on this interview, Romeo, and first of all, thank you, so much for being a gracious guest, by graciously accepting my request to be on this interview. I'll tell you the reason. The reason is I've always seen you being such an exciting personality, right? Such an energetic person. Whenever I think of thriving in life, not just survive, thriving in life, you always come to my mind first. You're always such a joy, such an energetic person. Whenever I've met you in person over the last 10 plus years, I've always, seen you with so much of smile and energy. It is very infectious. You bring in so much of energy to the room. I've heard, not just me, I've heard thousands of people, saying the same thing. Romeo enters the room, the entire room lights up. You are such a personality. And, that's the reason I really wanted you on the show first. And let's start with what makes you this wonderful Romeo Marcus Jr.?
What makes Romeo Romeo? Great question. I think for me, in my opinion, it starts with just allowing myself to be a free spirit, to not allow myself get in the way of my own self. I'll do that many times, but I figured out with tools and principles and hacks to, get out of my own way. But more importantly, there's a saying that says it's your inner world that creates your outer world. Right? It's your inner world that creates your outer world. And so part of me being who I am in this free spirit and just, bringing so much joy and love, and don't get it twisted, I do get mad. I do get frustrated. I will, be disappointed. I'll feel all those feelings, but I won't land in that for a very long time because I know that doesn't serve me. I'll do it because I have to embrace it, but I know how to just keep moving forward with it. And part of that, and we can talk about the specific details later, is in the morning time, I really set the foundation of how I'm going to live my life throughout the day, hence a morning ritual. Right. And that involves many things, which we could go into detail later. But more than anything, it's the people that has believed in me. There have been many times in my life where I've doubted. I still tend to doubt myself every now and then. but the people that have believed in me, people that have seen my potential. And if I'm not even looking for validation, but it's more so feeding the mind, body, and spirit and aligning your energy so that you can do the same for others, to help other people to, be aligned, to have that good energy, to do great things in their life. So more than anything, it's what's been given to me fuels me so that I can fuel others to do the same.
Excellent. Fantastic. Thank you. That's a wonderful answer. So if I were to understand this, you're saying, get out of your own way. Basically, from all the feelings, right? Don't let those feelings come in your way of, being this, leading this great life. Mm-hmm. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you so much, Romeo, for that. Let's start with the second question. I just wanted to let me set the stage for this. See, there is this saying, which you and I are very familiar with, is the purpose of life, right? So it's such a transformating word. I never heard of it. I had not heard of it, until very recently, the last few years, right? I spent a lot of my life, not really worrying about, why do I exist, right? What is my true purpose in life? I never thought about that. And, once I started thinking about it, I said, man, there is a way to live. There is a way to really contribute to this world. And I know you are such a big, person talking about, finding true purpose in life. You go around the world teaching, people about, defining their purpose in life, discovering their purpose in life. My question to you is, what is your definition of purpose in life, and how did you go about discovering your purpose in life?
Great question. So I have my own definitions of what is the purpose of life. And I'm going to break it down to you in a very simplistic way. Life, L-I-F-E. I love acronyms, Ravi. Life, living in full expression, meaning expressing your gifts, your ideas, your talents, the things you want to share with other people, being able to just go for it, right? And just doing it with no holds barred, without holding back. So living that fully. It's also to love in full expression, L-I-F-E, to love in full expression. There are a lot of times we want to, congratulate somebody, or we want to, give that person love, but we kind of hold back because we don't know if we're invading their space or if we're doing a little bit too much. But expressing that love, even though it may not be verbally or physically with a hug or a handshake or whatever, maybe just through thought, you can express love in that kind of way. So living in full expression, loving in full expression. Third thing is letting intuition free every day, L-I-F-E. There are a lot of things where we feel inclined to do, and we know that intuition is guiding us to do it, but we go, I don't know if it's going to work out, but what if this, and all these things that cloud us up. And again, we stop ourselves, we get in our own way, and therefore we block our intuition from allowing it to be free, right? And then the other thing is letting not just intuition, but inspiration, right? We have these inspired ideas, the things we have in our head, and the ones that come to mind over and over and over and over again. Those ideas, what IDEA stands for is inspirations delivered equal action, IDEA. Inspirations delivered equal action, right? And so by doing those things, living in full expression, loving in full expression, letting intuition free every day, letting inspiration free every day, you let life fuel enthusiasm, L-I-F-E. You let it fuel enthusiasm. It's fuel for life. And when you're in that, when you're gassed up and have that fuel, you're now like flowing energy, L-I-F-E. You let life flow energy, L-I-F-E. I mean, let it flow energy. And as we know, life goes where energy flows, right? So wherever you're bringing your energy, that's where the life is going to go. So if we're down on ourselves, that's where our life is going to go. But when we pick ourselves back up with the necessary tools and environments and things to help us grow and move forward, that's the direction of our life, right? And I've realized with especially with the unfortunate circumstances happening around the world, primarily talking about the passing of family members, friends, and just life itself can be difficult. But I want people to be aware that, life is nothing more than a start date and an end date and a hyphen in between it. And we get to fill in that blank. We get to fill in that line. And in that line, that's what our legacy is going to be, what we do with that line, right? And by doing what we do, part of that legacy is going to let it fill everyone, right? LIFE, you're going to let it fill everyone. So the things that you're doing on this earth today is not just for the sake of these 90-day goals or 1-year goals or, the next 10 years. What you do today is going to be a generational thing that can make a generational impact for many years or generations to come. So when I think of life, I think of just being free. I think of the long-term impact that it's going to create. And I think of life as being of service, right? Mm-hmm. So that's a huge thing for me. One key question, no matter what environment I'm in, is how can I help, right? And I might not be the person to help because of time and energy, so forth and so on, but I can lead to other resources, or there might be a time where I can volunteer for this specific amount of time, but how can I help? How can I be of service? And when you come from that place, you're now in this giving mode. And when you give, when you serve, it's the law of reciprocation. It's going to come back to you, right? And you're not doing it for the sake of coming back to you. You're doing it because you want to give, but energetically, it's just going to come around. That's how energy is made, right? It's being generated. So just go with the flow. And when I say go with the flow, that means just go. Don't stop it. Keep it going and keep it moving.
Wow. Very, very powerful, Romeo. Life. Man, you put so much of variations to this word life. You talked about life, living, you talked about love, you talked about intuitions, you talked about inspiration. Wow, that's I think that's very powerful. Yeah. Thank you for kind of sharing that. Now we can see why you're always such a joiner, because you are living in the moment. As you talked about it, right? What you do today is more important than what your goals are.
Yeah, and I also want to put out there, one of the questions you asked was like, how did you discover all this? I went through a lot of heartache. I went through a lot of challenges. I went through all these crazy things in the process. And I know we might allude to this question later, but it's part of those experiences and discoveries that we have to go through so that we understand and are going to be grateful for those specific moments later, because we had to learn those specific lessons in order to receive the blessings. You have to go through the lessons in order for you to receive the blessings. So it's not an easy road, but it's all part of the process.
It's part, and this is your experience. This is what has been your learning. By sharing, you're certainly helping thousands of individuals, who are probably stuck in life.
Yeah.
That's the purpose of this interview. And thanks for sharing that so freely and being very generous on that.
Great. For sure.
All right. So now let's jump in to the next topic, Romeo. Again, in my life experience of dealing with thousands of individuals, young and old, one thing that I've realized is, most of the cases, life is not balanced, right? In some cases, people are so focused on career. Sometimes, people are so focused on, the other activities like, hey, I need to build my body and stuff like that. Some people are very, very, very focused on finances because, that's what they think, is very important. And, some people, they say, I don't need money, right? And I just want to focus on helping others. I know a lot of people, they tend to associate themselves with, a lot of major causes in this world, which is very, very important. But my experience is that no, you need to find balance if at all you want to live a fulfilled life. I just wanted to pick your brain a little bit in each of the area because I see you are when I look at you from any angle, I see you are thriving in all those areas, right?
Doing the best that I can.
Yeah,
I ain't got it
absolutely.
all together, but I'm doing the best that I can.
Yeah, no, for being such a young person, I think you have accomplished a lot. That's to say the least. Let's talk about, for example, let's talk about area of health because my view was that health is wealth, right? And if you don't have health, there's nothing else, right? And as we were discussing before, people tend to spend their health to make money, first half of their life, and second half, they spend their money to regain that health. Maybe there is
I
a better
love
way
that.
to live. Let's hear your perspective on health and what do you do to kind of keep yourself so fit all the time.
That's a great question. And again, this is from all these things I'm going to say is from my perspective and from my experience. I'm not a health expert whatsoever, but I understand what serves my body and what doesn't. I think so. Number one is become aware of what fuels your body and gives it energy, and take notice and inventory of things that don't fuel your body. Right. I'm 100% guilty of eating desserts and ice cream and French fries and fried chicken. But I've noticed when I don't do those things, I feel a lot better. So I'm very mindful as of recent, especially more so now, because my mom the other day when I was over at her house said, Romeo, your stomach's kind of getting big. I went, whoa, if my mom is telling me I got to start getting fit, then there's something wrong. So, but I've always been into working out. I've worked out. I work out 4 to 5 times a week. One, or let me just say a few hacks that I do in the morning is I drink lemon water, right? Again, all the stuff that I'm saying, you can Google the specific benefits. The other thing that I do is the morning ritual. My morning ritual involves reading something positive, writing in a gratitude journal, meditating, reviewing my goals, visualizing, and did I say affirmations?
Not yet.
Okay, saying affirmations, and then I go work out. So again, all those things, it's mind, body, soul, right? And then the other part of health is love and connection. So we got the mind, the body, and the soul. And then there's a love and connection part. And that's the people, right? Because you can have strengthening your mind with the books and, your soul and meditate. And then obviously there's a physical aspect of it, of working out. But the love and connection part is very important because it's the people in your life that's going to fuel you or empty you, right? So that's another important as part of the whole health beingness. So those are some things to think about and consider that I do to elevate my health.
Great. Excellent. Thank you, Romeo. And for those of you who are watching this video, you should just check out Romeo's videos, either on Instagram or Facebook. You will see. Now, when I say you are such an energetic person, I am not exaggerating. Right? People should just watch your Instagram videos and Facebook videos. Oh my goodness, that gives me a lot of energy. When I in the morning when I watch some of your videos, unbelievable.
I think one thing I want to bring up that I've learned from Tony Robbins is that this when you have energy in motion, you'll attract greater energy. And that's what emotion is, energy in motion. So if you want more energy, get in motion. And if you notice that when you're like sluggish or you're tired, you're just sitting down, you're on your phone, it's because you're not moving, right? So that's why you'll hear people say, make sure you walk around, get up from your chair. But it's actually true to just get things going, get the blood flowing. We're not made to sit down. We're made to move too.
Excellent.
And with that movement and the physical aspect of things, rest is also important. I have to say that. Yeah, I'm a hustler. Yeah, I can do all these things. Yeah, I'll keep on going. But rest and sleep is another key factor as part of my well-being. So
Beautiful.
I thought I'd.
Beautiful. Thank you for saying that. Rest and sleep. Absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, in the book that I'm writing, if somebody asked me, what's your number one hack that you recommend? I said sleep.
Mm,
Sleep
yeah.
is extremely critical, and we tend to ignore that aspect. Most of us tend to ignore that fact.
For sure.
Okay, let's move on. The next one is career, right?
Mhm.
What are some of the things that you do to kind of ensure that you're always thriving in your career, making progress, right?
Yeah.
What are some of the things that you kind of focus on, and something daily or something that's on your mind that, hey, these are three things that I want to do to
Mhm.
advance my career.
Yeah. So progress comes from growing, right? The more I'm developing my mind, the more I'm learning new things, industry trends, or just even personal development, something as simple as that. That allows me to move forward because it, shifts my mind and thinking to not just elevate myself, but to challenge myself too. Right. Because we'll hit a plateau and everything's good and life is good. And then you run into this wall and you're like, oh, this is unfamiliar. I don't know what to do. Or I'm doing all the things that I thought would work, but it's not working. That means this is an opportunity for you to grow. This is an opportunity for you to learn. And so part of me progressing forward is having that growth mindset, right? And being open, right? And then on top of that, you might have to go back to the foundations of things that you've learned before because you've lost sight of those fundamentals, right? So there's a book called Essentialism, which is about productivity tips. And I just opened that up earlier today. And it's like my fifth or sixth time reading it. It's because there's
What is the book again?
Essentialism. I forgot the author's name.
Okay.
Essentialism. Yeah. So again, going back to and the success principles, that book, the success, it's going to these fundamentals that have helped you to get to where you are today. And while you've elevated, it's also important to just go back to what helped you to get to where you are today. And again, learning new things so that you can take it to the next level. So that's one thing, the growth mindset. The other thing is having a coach, somebody to hold you accountable, right? Or a mentor, someone to guide you, someone to steer you in a direction where they might have, been through, or they can ask specific questions to reshift your thinking on why it's not working out or why it is working out, or give you the confidence to just make those bold choices. So having a mentor is another key thing. And then the last thing that has helped me is just taking action fearlessly. Have I ran into wanting to take action and fears came up? 100%. Yes, of course. But what I've learned is while growing and learning and doing all these things, what Jack Canfield says, he says, the world doesn't pay you for what you know, it pays you for what you do. Right. So taking action.
Can you repeat that, please? Can you please repeat that?
The world doesn't pay you for what you know, it pays you for what you do.
Such a powerful
statement. The principles work if you work the principles, right? So by taking action, and done is better than perfect. And sometimes we feel like we have to get it all together to launch that thing, to do that thing. And you have to study this course. Yes, there's a time and place for that, but I guarantee you, for the most part, you can take at least one small step in the direction rather than over analyzing, overthinking. So all in all, in regards to career, I think it goes for all areas of your life. It's definitely taking action is a huge thing for me.
Wow, very powerful. Thank you. Thank you very much for saying that. It is not what you know, but it's what you do that the world will pay you for. Very, very powerful.
Yeah.
All right, now let's talk about finances. I'm not going to ask you about your finances, but what do you do in general about making progress as far as your financial aspect of your life is concerned?
Yeah, for sure. I think it goes hand in hand with the career in which we're having growth, right? That growth mindset. How can I, if I'm at this place and I've reached this number or whatever the case may be, how can I double that? How can I take that to the next level? What are the resources or people that I need to connect with so that I can grow in that area, right? So again, a learning thing, having that growth mindset. Number two, tracking. I track my success in all areas of my life, but for this, it's tracking. So, because if you don't know where something's going, how will you know, right? And then the last thing is giving, right? And it doesn't even necessarily mean, I don't want to portray like, oh yeah, just give all your money away or time away or whatever, because we have to be mindful of that. But it's like I brought up earlier, it's the law of reciprocation. So the more you give, the more you serve, the more it comes from a good space. Tithing is what they call it in church. That helps too. You know what I mean? So that's, talk about energy. You know, I brought up energy. Energy is when you get things in motion, it builds and generates energy, and that energy turns into currency, right? And so that's what money is. It's energy. It's why they call it currency, right? So just long as you keep it flowing. But yeah, that's all I have to say on that.
Great. Now you just reminded me of what Jim Rohn said. Right now, he said, "Giving starts the process of receiving."
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That is really good.
He was my first mentor, I must say. Wow, it's very, very powerful. You're right. Currency, right? Keep it moving. Keep it moving.
Right.
And give is another important aspect.
Yeah, for
Great.
sure.
Okay, so now I think just since you talked about giving, it just it gets us into the next important aspect, right? That most of us tend to ignore. It's this whole aspect of gratitude, right? So I think based on what you and I have learned, right, and gratitude is such an important part of our life. But most of the people, they just don't practice it, right? I mean, they don't pay attention. Let me put it that way. Not that they don't have intention; it's just that they don't pay attention. So I want to pick your brain a little bit about this whole concept of gratitude and why it is important. Can you share your thoughts, please?
For sure. There's a saying that I really love that states, it's not happy people that are thankful, it's thankful people that are happy. Right? So starting with gratitude in my morning routine is huge because, again, it sets not only the foundation of my day, but the energy it brings. So let me just be more specific with what I do. In my journal, I'll write down 10 things I'm grateful for. I started out with 3, then 5, then 10. In fact, in my gratitude journals, I was looking back, like this morning, I was looking back at what I did on July 1st, 2020. What was I doing on July 1st, 2019, 2018? And then for these particular 2 journals, it went all the way back to 2017, right? So this is something that I've been practicing for years, probably more than a decade. And so when you come from this space and place of gratitude, you're able to see things in a different light, as opposed to like, why isn't this happening? You come from that shift in perspective of like, okay, this is not working in my favor, but there may be a gift here. You know what? I'm grateful for that gift, and I might not know what that gift is, but I'm ready to receive it. Right? It's that little shift in thinking. And there's another saying that states, what you appreciate appreciates. It's like real estate. What you appreciate appreciates. So I appreciate my life. Okay, my life is going to elevate to new levels. I appreciate the funds that I have currently. Okay, that's going to elevate. I appreciate the love that I have in my life. You know what I mean? So again, it's energy, right? And then the last thing I want to say is gratitude is like fuel for a car. It's gas for a car. And what gas, and as it relates to our soul. And so what GAS stands for, GAS, is that gratitude attracts success. gratitude attracts success, and that could be people, it could be resources. And so if you're in this, mindset of like, why is this happening to me right now, or why isn't it working out, go back to the fundamentals of just being grateful, and soon enough things will start to shift and change. And like Wayne Dyer says, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change.
Wow. Very, very, very powerful. Having sense of gratitude is such a critical thing, and gratitude journal that you talked about. I've been writing gratitude journal, and I use what Bob Proctor used to teach.
Uh-huh.
Hey, you must have heard of what he says, right? He says, "I am so happy and grateful now that." I
Now
think
that,
that's
yeah.
the statement, right? He starts, and you just do the things, whether they have happened or not happened, doesn't matter, right? You should say, being thankful for what you have, being thankful for what you're going to receive. Very, very powerful. Very, very
Very powerful. Yeah.
right. Thank you. And I think there are, and also let me just add a couple of other things. Right now, you talk about joy and fulfillment. You talked about being thankful. Is there anything else that you do to kind of just get into this whole space of joy and fulfillment? Is there
Yeah,
anything else to do?
for sure. So, to answer that plainly is to remembering what the purpose of life is, right? So realigning myself of expression, of love, of inspiration, of uh, intuition. And also, while this topic of like taking action and doing things is key to progress forward, what's also important is going back to remind yourself of what brings you joy, right? What you don't have to move, and that joy doesn't have to be business related or relationship oriented. It could just be like your you time. So self-care is part of my joy filled self to elevate. One of the ways I go about that is I have a joy list. On that joy list, one side is money, one side isn't money. And so as an example is write down 10 things that do cost money that bring you joy. Maybe it's your favorite meal. Maybe it's getting a massage. Maybe it's renting your favorite vehicle you've always wanted to ride. Maybe it's buying a book, right? The things that don't cost money could be something as simple as resting. It could be taking a bath. It could be going for a walk. It could be that book you purchased a long time ago. It could be meditating. You know what I mean? So writing those things down will allow yourself to go, okay, these are the things that bring me joy. So if you feel off a little bit, revisit that joy list. And what's important throughout all this is scheduling it, right? So I always schedule at least one thing that brings me joy that either costs money or doesn't cost me money. Like, so every single week, even though I do something every single day, but at least once a week, I'm doing something off of that joy list, and I'll add things. And sometimes I might do something so much that I'm like, okay, it doesn't bring me joy anymore, right? And then it'll come back later. But more than anything, going back to things that fuel you. I wouldn't know what that is for you, but you know what brings you joy and fuels your spirit. So writing that down and scheduling it is key.
So for example, me talking to you, it gives me so much joy.
Exactly. It's having a conversation with people that fuel you, right? So, and fuel you and fill you. So that's, again, priceless. This is priceless.
Right.
So.
Absolutely. And these are the things, right, Romeo? Many things in life that give you joy are the things that don't cost you anything.
That's 100% true.
Look at kids, right? You just give them a candy and they're so happy. Once they're grown up, right, their needs differ and they change. Then for some materialistic, more money and stuff like that. But this is fantastic. Joy and fulfillment. So that's one of the key components of our life, in addition to just focusing on career and finance and stuff like that. Right.
Mhm.
Now I know I've taken a lot of your time. One last question I'm going to ask you.
No problem.
Okay. So all of us go through ups and downs in our lives, right?
Mhm.
And all of us, right? Now, sometimes there is a family tragedy, there is a challenge at workplace. You had a fight with somebody, something that is uncomfortable that made you uncomfortable. There could be a million things that could go wrong in a day, right?
For sure.
But how do you, as Romeo, right, tackle these things and still stay focused on what's really important in life? Because ultimately, how do you kind of just get get yourself back up, and just continue to do the things that are important. So don't have to worry about these things, right? But
Yeah.
easier said than done, right?
Right. Right.
You tend to kind of get stuck, right? And as somebody said, pain is inevitable, but suffering is an option, right?
That's
Pain
good.
is like it happens to you. You pinch,
It
like
happens.
yourself, it hurts you, right? Yes, that's inevitable. But thinking about the same thing over and over and over
Yeah.
is suffering, right? Now that is optional. You don't have to think through that, right? But hey, it is easier said than done. But what do you do as to kind of just get yourself to be focused on the goal and what is important in your life?
Yeah, I think it encompasses everything that I just said. So being able to take inventory from the gratitude, from the morning routine, to taking your care of your mind, body, soul, and love and connection, to understanding what your priorities are and what isn't, to surround yourself with things that serve you or doesn't, and take notice of what doesn't. And so it's that also shift in perspective when life, comes at us in a direction or in a way that throws us off, is that I believe everything is a gift, right? And so there's a saying that says, for every mess, there's a message, right? For every setback, it's really a setup for a comeback. And for every breakdown, there's a breakthrough, right?
Mm-hmm.
So anytime something that throws me off or a life circumstance happens, it's, asking yourself, what is the gift behind this, right? And I will sit in those specific emotions if I'm feeling sad or hurt by it. But like I said in the very beginning, I won't sit in it too long because life goes where energy flows, right? And the other statement that I think about is, what you're not changing, you're choosing. What you're not changing, you're choosing. So if you're feeling miserable and it's the circumstance or the event, but if you sit in it for a while, now you're just choosing. There's another saying that goes something to the effect of, if you made a mistake, it's not the first time, it's not your fault. But if you do it the second time around, it's now a decision or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So being able to, again, readjust, right? You're paying attention to the feedback that's taking place in your life and readjusting accordingly. But another thing to really take notice of when it comes to focus, because there's a lot of things that we can go into for focus, is FOCUS, follow one course until successful. Keep on going until, right? Keep moving forward until. There's going to be a lot of things that are going to distract you from taking actions, the distractions that are taking you away from your actions, but you have to just stay focused, have those blinders on to keep on going until, and be ready for things that are going to throw you off, but know that you are equipped and ready with different things like the hacks you are sharing in your book to, stay focused and aligned with your ultimate purpose and the goals you want to achieve.
Wow. That's very, very, very powerful. By choosing, you're choosing.
Yeah, what you're
By
not
choosing, you're choosing something. That's what he said.
Yeah.
Right?
What you're not changing,
Uh-huh.
you're choosing, right?
Not
So
choosing. Got it.
what you're not changing, you're choosing. So
Great.
yeah,
Yeah, I have
that's a
something
shift
very
in mindset.
similar. Now you said, somebody said, I think that's what probably you're referring to is not taking a decision itself is a decision.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. That's exactly it.
Very, very powerful. Thank you so much. So before I let you go, Romeo, please tell the viewers, right, where they can reach you. I'm sure a lot of people would like to be connected with you.
For sure.
Right? What
People can, I'm very currently I'm very active in my Instagram, which is Romeo Marquez Jr. I'm diving into this whole Instagram reel world because one thing that I want to put out there, especially with the entrepreneurs or coaches or creators, there's going to be 100% of a huge shift in knowing the accessibility of being creative. So in other words, it's important that we are in tune with creating in this particular time right now, in this particular decade, because what they're calling it as of recent is it's the creator economy. It's the creator economy. So I don't want you to miss the boat and just be an observer of all these different things. Definitely observe, definitely learn, but also be a creator in the process, because that's what's going to not only fuel you and help other people, but it's also going to be a part of your ultimate legacy. Because I think about my ancestors. Imagine my ancestors 100 years ago to 200 years ago to 300. I would have loved to see them. Obviously, they didn't have the technology back then. For them to have a video or a book or things to pass down. Like, imagine if there was like an audio and like your grandpa or your generations down said, keep on going, keep moving forward. It's difficult during these times, but that's just the cycle of life. Like hearing that but now you get to create that experience or create those legacy moments for the future generation. So that's the last thing I want to say. I know the simple question was like, where can people find you? And I went into that whole tangent, but that's the reason why you can find me on Instagram, because I'm constantly creating. Obviously, you can find me on Facebook. And yeah.
And you have a wonderful book, Success Messages.
The Success Messages. That's right. I have this meditation currently. It's online. It's called Destiny Decade Meditation. You could go to destinydecademeditation.com. And that will just, align you with having and creating a successful decade.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Romeo, thank you so much. I'm going to put some of those the links to your Instagram and Facebook pages. I'm going to put in the comments below for those who would like to connect with Romeo. And this has been such a wonderful time connecting with you, and very, very glad, and I'm grateful to call you a friend.
Likewise.
And most importantly, I truly cherish all the moment that we spent together, having a meal or having this wonderful.
I know. When you're in the US, whenever I'm in India. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we keep on 10-year connection is a long time connection, but I'm so glad it stayed fresh.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Great. Thank you, Romeo. Truly appreciate.
Thank you, everybody.
Time. And I will. I truly hope the viewers enjoy this conversation. There are a lot of these little nuggets that you talked about, which are very powerful. And I'm going to probably do some edits and the video and put those texts so that people can really get that as well. By reading it, not just watching it. Okay. Thank you, Romeo.
Cool. All right. Thanks, everybody.